Hello students, today I'm starting the theories of bonding in metals. Okay, so in between the metals there will be a metallic bond. Okay, already we have seen metal exist in the form of solids. Very rare metals exist in the form of liquid. So whatever metal atoms are present in the metallic sheet or metallic crystal exist due to the formation of metallic bond. Okay, that metallic bond is explained through different theories. So firstly, free electron theory, second valence bond theory, third molecular orbital theory. So firstly, let us see the free electron theory. This theory was proposed by Drude and later it is developed by the Lorentz scientist. Okay, and according to this theory there are some postulates proposed. Okay, all the atoms in a metal have a several unoccupied orbitals in the valence shell. So if you observe any metal structure in the valence shell, there will be some empty orbitals. Already we have seen this in the complex formation. There will be unoccupied or empty orbitals present in every metal atom. So now let's come into the next point. Because of their less ionization energy, metals readily loses electrons. But ionization energy means what? Okay, the energy required to remove electrons from the valence shell is called ionization energy. So metal, if you observe, there will be many shells. Last shell will be there. No? From there, if I want to remove electrons, I need to apply some energy because there will be some attraction between the nucleus and the valence electrons. But metals are in large size. Because of this large size, less attraction can be observed between the nucleus and the valence electrons, so that I can remove electrons easily and you need to apply more energy. So they have less ionization energy. Because of less ionization energy and more electropositivity, they readily loses valence electrons to form positive ions. Okay, positive ions, they readily lose valence electrons and forms positive ions. These ions are called metal kernels. Positive ions are also called as metal kernels. So whatever electrons lost from the valence shell, they are not belong to any metal atom. They are free to move throughout the metallic crystal. Okay, because of the empty orbitals, they are readily free to move throughout the metallic structure. These electrons do not belong to any particular metal ion, but they are free to move throughout the metal. Okay, so that the metals are considered as the cations immersed in the sea of electrons. So if you observe the diagram, metals are considered as the cations which are immersed in the sea of electrons. Okay, in between the electrons, the metals are immersed. So hence this is also called as electron sea model. Electron sea model, it is called as electron sea model, and it is also called as electron gas model. Why? Because in gas molecules, in any gas structure, if you observe, the atoms are free to move. You see, in the same way here, electrons are free to move throughout the valence orbitals of the metal atoms in this metallic crystal. Okay, due to that it is also called as electron gas model. Okay, next, these positive metal atoms uh, readily attracts the electrons around itself. Okay, and because of its electropositivity, they readily attracts the electrons towards itself and maintains a solid structure in the crystal. Okay, that is the reason we are getting the solid hard structures in the metals. Maximum we are observing the solid structures which are very hard because of the attraction between the positive nucleus and the valence electrons in the metallic crystal. Okay, so this is about uh, free electron theory. Coming to the physical properties. So here free electron theory explains the physical properties of metals. Okay, you can see first one, thermal conductivity. So I told you already, metals are good conductors of heat. Thermal indicates heat energy. Okay, so how they are acting as a good conductors of heat is explained through this theory. Okay, for example, I am taking an iron rod. If I am heating one edge of the iron rod, okay, so when I started heating, the electrons present at this edge gains energy. Okay, so they started movement from this side to that side, and what they will do, they'll transfer their kinetic energy to other electrons also. So due to this reason, the heat energy of one edge will pass to the another edge of the iron rod, so that entire rod gets heated. Okay, so beginning, all the electrons will have same energy. Whenever we are supplying heat energy, the edge electrons present at the one end gain some energy, so they'll start movement. So these electrons, with the collisions, they transfer their energy to other electrons present in the rod. So with this continuous movement, these electrons transfers the kinetic energy to the other electrons, so that other edge and entire iron rod also gets heat energy, so that whenever you are conducting heat at one edge, the entire rod will act as a good conductor of electricity. So iron articles or metals acts as good conductors of heat. They will supply heat immediately whenever you are conducting. Okay, next concept is electrical conductivity. Already we have discussed metals are good conductors of electricity also. So how they are acting as good conductors of electricity? I am taking this electric plate, I'm attaching the two electrodes, that is cathode and anode. Already we know cathode means negatively charged electrode, anode means positively charged electrode. So before applying electricity, all the electrons will undergo free movement. There is no particular direction, they can move in any direction. But whenever I applied electricity, the electrons starts movement from cathode to anode. Okay, so from cathode to anode you can see the direction arrows of the electrons. So but the kernels are fixed in their positions, they won't move, but the electrons will move from one direction to another direction. With this they will supply the electricity. So entire copper plate will get the electricity because of this reason, the electrons movement from cathode to anode. So with this they'll pass the energy and they'll supply the electricity. Okay, so coming to the alloys electricity, how the alloys conduct the electricity? We know already alloys also made up of metals and non-metals. So will they conduct electricity or not? That is our doubt. So in case of alloys, there will be uh, interstitial sites. Already we have discussed interstitial alloys and substitutional alloys. So the spaces between the metal atoms is occupied by some other non-metals. So they'll hinders the movement of the electrons. Here electrons can move freely, but the spaces between the metals will be occupied by other non-metals or other metals. What will happen here? The electricity when compared to this as completely decreases. Now metals will have more electricity, but when compared to alloys will have very less conductivity because of this reason. Sometimes they can't conduct electricity also. Okay, next coming to effect of temperature. How the effect of temperature will affect this electrical conductivity, how the temperature will affect the electrical conductivity. So with the increase of temperature, electrical conductivity will decreases. Okay, so how the electrical conductivity will decreases? Whenever we are supplying heat energy, here all kernels and all electrons gains energy. So when they are gaining energy, they collide with each other. Upon supply of heat, whenever you are supplying heat energy, all the electrons and kernels gaining energy and they collide with each other. So when they are colliding with each other, it restricts the movement of the electrons between the collisions. So the effect of temperature always decreases the electrical conductivity. Conductance decreases with the increase of the temperature. Coming to the next topic, malleability or ductility. So already we have discussed the definitions of malleability or ductility in properties of metals. So what is meant by the malleability? So metals, when your metal means ability of metals to form thin sheets is called malleability. And you can give the best examples like aluminium sheets which are using for packing food. And next, ductility, ability of metals to form thin wires. I can give you the example of copper wire which is using for electrical conductance. So actually according to free electron theory, the kernels are present in the fixed positions, but electrons completely shows the movement. That's the reason we are calling this as electron C model. Okay, but whenever you are applying stress on this metallic sheets, there is a slight movement of the kernels from one position to other position with respect to other kernels. Okay, because of this displacement, there is a change in the shape of the metal. So when you are applying some stress, there is a movement of the kernels from one portion to other portion. So due to this, internal metallic structure is not changing, but there's a change in the outside shape. So whenever the shape changes, it can be molded into different forms, that they can mold into thin sheets or it can mold into thin vials. So this is a very important property, that is malleability or ductility. Next, coming to the limitations of free electron theory. Okay, this theory fails to explain why some metals are extremely hard, and actually we already, this theory is telling that some metals are hard. Only it is telling some metals are hard, but why some are extremely hard, why some are extremely weak, that is not clearly explained. So osmium is a metal which is extremely hard in nature, that is not clearly explained by this theory. Okay, and it also failed to explain why some metals have high melting point. So if you are taking tungsten melting point 3000 degrees centigrade, so why it is having this much melting point, it is not clearly explained. Okay, it also failed to explain why some metals shows more electrical conductivity than the other. Okay, silver is better conductor than lead. So this theory is explain the electrical properties and thermal properties, but not explain the comparison between two or more conductors. Okay, so this is about the limitations of free electron theory.